Advanced Studio Classroom is on the air. Physical activity helps fight cancer. Find out how. Hello, friends. You're listening to Advanced Studio Classroom, your window on the world. My name is Liz Archer, and I hope you're all doing well today. It's January 13th, and we're looking at Day 2 of the health article from your January 2009 Advanced magazine. The article is called Revitalizing Exercise. And to help me with this article are my two friends here, Steve Martha and Howie Jung. Hello, guys.
Hey, Liz.
Hey,
Hi,
Liz.
friends.
Okay, before we dive into today's section of the article, I'd like to do a quick review and go over yesterday's lesson. Steve, what can you tell us about yesterday's lesson?
Well, we learned that exercise isn't just for fun, getting out there and having fun with your friends, playing sports, or it's not even just preventative in the fact of it helps people lose weight and stay trim. It strengthens us, but there's also healing power in exercise, and that's one thing we learned yesterday.
Okay, and Howie, what else did we talk about in yesterday's lesson?
We talked about how rehabilitation now involves exercise, and it's part of the regular types of therapy, chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, because if you're a cancer survivor, it will help calm you, it'll fight fatigue, and it'll make you feel better about yourself and your body.
Okay, so it can be psychologically beneficial for cancer survivors.
One other thing we learned is that for many years, exercise has been used in cardiac rehabilitation. When people had heart attacks, doctors would prescribe an exercise regimen for them. Well, hopefully we're going to see the results from that and transfer that power, that healing power, to people who have gone through cancer.
That's right. We did read about in yesterday's lesson that though it is acknowledged, it's recognized as being beneficial for heart attack survivors. Cancer patients don't get to have they don't seem to enjoy the same treatment as heart attack patients. Heart attack patients would get this 12-week program. They have maybe their medical insurance, everything's covered. But if you're a cancer survivor, your doctor may not tell you to, go and, get active. Do some form of exercise. But even if your doctor or maybe if the medical team strongly urges you to get involved in some kind of exercise program, your insurance company may not cover that. So it's a little ironic, and which is why, according to this nurse practitioner, Melinda Irwin, this whole kind of thinking just kind of seems a little outdated. In fact, 20 years difference. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at today's lesson. If you have your magazine, please open to page 23, and we'll go ahead and get started with the reading, exercise, and cancer recovery. And here's Bill.
Exercise and cancer recovery. Researchers are working to understand how physical activity helps fight cancer. Their findings so far suggest exercise reduces blood levels of insulin, a substance in the body that causes cells to divide and grow more quickly. Women with high levels of insulin have a slightly higher risk of breast cancer and a much higher rate of recurrence and death. Exercise helps repair infection-fighting T cells, restoring the immune system after it has been damaged by chemotherapy. Exercise reduces levels of circulating estrogen and testosterone, two hormones linked to different cancers. Exercise prevents weight gain and promotes weight loss, important because obesity is associated with lower rates of survival for many forms of cancer.
So far, we've talked about how exercise is so beneficial for cancer patients and how it really should be part of the standard treatment against cancer. And yesterday, we talked about how it's described as standard weapons in the fight against cancer. But exactly how does exercise bring benefits to the body? Well, we see in the first paragraph that researchers are trying to understand this, and so far, They've discovered a few things, although everything is still on the suggesting level. In other words, it's not completely proven, or you haven't completely persuaded everybody 100% that it all works. But so far, they've discovered a few things, and what's the first one on the list?
They discovered that exercise reduces blood levels of insulin, a substance in the body that causes cells to divide and grow more quickly.
Okay, now interesting that we should mention insulin. We've had several articles in advance that deal with the subject of diabetes, and of course, we'd mentioned insulin many times because that's what diabetic patients need. Normally, when people eat sugary foods, their blood sugar level would rise, and then the pancreas responds by releasing a lot of insulin, which is basically the hormone that brings the sugar to the cells. So how is high insulin level a problem for cancer patients?
Well, it says women with high levels of insulin in particular have a slightly higher risk of breast cancer and much higher rate of recurrence of that cancer, and as a result have a higher rate of dying from the cancer.
Okay. Now, I've read somewhere on the internet that women with high insulin levels have, get this, a 283% greater risk of breast cancer.
Wow.
283. Now, when I read that, I was munching on some jelly beans.
Oh, no.
Actually, not some. I was eating a lot of jelly beans at the time, a lot of sugar as I was reading that. Kind of made me stop eating my jelly beans for a while. Okay, so it is very dangerous when one's insulin level is that high. And if exercise could reduce blood levels of insulin, that's a good thing. Now, what else can exercise do?
Well, one of the additional benefits, it helps repair infection-fighting T cells, restoring the immune system after it has been damaged by chemotherapy. Now, I'd like to talk about the word restore here. It means to return something to its earlier good condition. Most of the time, we'll hear this word maybe with you want to restore your old car. Your car is kind of looking bad, paint is chipping, getting rusty. You want to restore it to its new condition. Or you may even have a painting or some kind of something at home that is kind of getting old and rusting. You can restore it. Here it's saying to restore your immune system because, as we talked about yesterday, chemotherapy, even though it helps kill cancer, it's a really powerful drug and it can damage other parts of your body. So here, it will help restore your immune system.
Okay, without sounding too technical, T cells are basically white blood cells that are responsible for getting rid of whatever it is that's hurting or attacking our body, hurting our health. So exercise apparently can help build our T cells. Now, what's next on this list?
The third thing is exercise reduces levels of circulating estrogen and testosterone, which are two hormones linked to different cancers. Now, if you've gone to your biology class and paid attention, you might remember estrogen is the female hormone that causes development and change in the reproductive organs, and testosterone is the male version of that. And when these two hormones are circulating through your system, they can be cancer-causing. They can be a trigger for certain cancers.
Right. Now, I know that for a lot of women who are going through menopause, and some women would choose to take the hormonal therapy route, but now we're finding more and more proof, or basically evidence, that it's not so good for you to take this route with these additional hormones in your body. And estrogen and testosterone are linked to different cancers, and I believe that would include breast cancer and prostate cancer. But thankfully, just as blood levels of insulin can be reduced through exercising, the same could be done for estrogen and testosterone levels in the blood. Now, what's the last thing on the list, Howie?
I think most people know about this already. Exercise prevents weight gain and promotes weight loss, important because obesity is associated with lower rates of survival for many forms of cancer. The word promote here means to encourage, so exercise will encourage weight loss. And obesity is just another word for overweight. And it's more of a medical term. So if you're overweight medically, then you are considered obese.
No, that just makes sense to me.
Right. And when I think of obese, I don't think of just maybe 5 or 10 pounds or 5 kilograms overweight. I think of severely overweight. And people who are severely overweight have a less chance, or their survival rates of surviving cancer are much lower than people who are thin.
And just think about just with all that weight on you, it's not comfortable. And let's not forget the fact that you're hurting your heart, your blood vessels. That's just a lot of pressure added to you. And so, weight loss is definitely something that should be a priority.
I know in today's society we care a lot about our looks and a lot of people want to look thin, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about being overweight, medically overweight, where you're many, many kilograms overweight. That is just not good for your health. So people need to exercise, not just to lose weight to look good, but because it's good for your body. It's healthy to not have all that weight on you.
And I do know that for some people, they just think, liposuction, why exercise? Okay, I just need to, go see, the experts and they could just pump it out of me, suck it out of me, and but
so easy.
Yeah, so easy. But as the saying goes, easy come, easy goes, and again, it's not healthy. You took all this time to build up all this accumulation of fat in your body, and to simply suck it all out of your system like that, it's not healthy.
It'd be like a shock to your body,
Exactly.
And sometimes it is a shock to your heart, and your heart will fail because of that.
Right, exactly. So obesity is a serious problem. It's not just about, I resist the fashion industry's claim that we all need to be thin, because it really is unhealthy. It's a serious problem, and exercise can make a difference. And now, with the second half of today's reading, The Path Back to Health.
The Path Back to Health. Most of the scientific work so far has focused on women with breast cancer, but studies have also shown exercise has positive effects for survivors of colorectal and prostate cancers. Among men older than 65, 3 hours of vigorous activity a week was associated with a decline in death from prostate cancer. Exercise is now considered so beneficial that cancer experts are even encouraging patients to begin or resume exercise while treatment is underway. Workouts might need to be scaled back in intensity and pace, but evidence strongly suggests that exercise is not only safe and feasible during cancer treatment, but that it can also improve physical functioning and some aspects of quality of life, according to the American Cancer Society. When scar tissue forms after surgery, it limits flexibility. Exercise can help women who've had mastectomies and underarm incisions restore the range of motion. Becoming active again, said one recovered cancer patient, helped her realize that cancer is not a jail sentence. It's a big bump in the road, but you can find your new normal and have a great life.
If you've just tuned in, you're listening to Advanced Radio. My name is Liz Archer, and I'm here with Steve Marth and Howie Zhang, and we've been discussing this article called Revitalizing Exercise. It's the health article of the month, and we've been talking about how exercising can help cancer patients. According to the first sentence of the first paragraph on page 23, second column,
most of the scientific work so far has focused on women with breast cancer, so the results that we're seeing, most of the information we're receiving is from a study of women who have gone through a battle with cancer, particularly breast cancer.
Okay, now my question is, why breast cancer in particular? Any speculations?
I think one reason is because it's become so common.
Okay.
It's very prevalent, unfortunately.
Okay, we do hear a lot, at least whenever I go back to the U.S. and I look through magazines, a lot of women's magazine in particular, you have a lot of these walkathons trying to generate more awareness, do some fundraising and things like that. But why so much attention, though? Because the reason why I'm asking is breast cancer is not the number one cancer in the U.S. Interestingly enough, it's actually lung cancer. But in at least my understanding, it seems like breast cancer seems to get a lot more of these attention, more walkathons for breast cancer, helping the women, there are a lot of women's focus group and things like that, but not so much on lung cancer.
I think if we remember from yesterday, it says out of the 10 million cancer survivors in the U.S., 22% of them are women who've had breast cancer. Now, lung cancer is something that usually we inflict on ourselves. We smoke. But breast cancer, some women don't even know why they get it. So I think that's one of the reasons why. It's something that's more mysterious and unknown. Lung cancer, we kind of know where that's coming from. You smoke or maybe you work in an environment that's not good for your lungs. But breast cancer, some healthy women I know, very healthy women, have had breast cancer, and we don't know why.
Yeah, I agree with Howie. That's a good point. But we're finding that studies have also shown exercise has positive effects for survivors of colorectal and prostate cancers. So it's not just the women who had breast cancer that we're studying. We're also seeing that it has positive effects. Exercise is good for survivors of other types of cancer.
That's right. The good news is it's not only for breast cancer, and it's not only breast cancer that's being researched on.
That's right. Older men, which is 65 or older, 3 hours of vigorous activity a week was associated with a decline in death from prostate cancer. The word vigorous means very forceful or using a lot of energy, because there are some types of exercise that aren't as vigorous. Maybe a walk, going for a walk isn't very vigorous, but maybe if you go swimming, that's a little bit more vigorous. Or if you go biking, that's a little bit more vigorous than going for a walk, which is exercise, but not that vigorous.
You're not breathing as heavily and maybe not sweating as much.
Exactly.
Well, it sounds like good news. Men over 65 could try to exercise for 3 hours a week, and that could make a big difference in terms of whether they could beat prostate cancer or not. I do know some people who are very healthy, and asking them to exercise 3 times a week vigorously is actually asking a lot.
Even from healthy people.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
So in a way, it's good news. You know, you tell these older gentlemen, do this exercise 3 times a week, and you can beat it. The chances are really, looking good for you. But yet, it's still asking a lot in some ways, because the average urban person I know here, they don't do this really.
It is asking a lot, especially from someone who's 65 or older, who's set in his or her ways. And it's a lifestyle change. It has to be. And so if people want to beat these cancers, if they don't want a reoccurrence of these cancers to come back, they do have to make a lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm. So with all that's being said about exercising and fighting cancer, what do we see in the next paragraph?
Now, this is something I didn't know, something that I learned. Exercise is now considered so beneficial that cancer experts are even encouraging patients to begin or resume exercise while treatment is underway.
It is interesting, because I must confess I have this impression, so-and-so's a person is diagnosed with cancer, and I think, they need to get rest, lots of rest. They're bedridden practically. They've kind of isolated themselves from the rest of the world. And yet, it's being encouraged. People are being told, actually, no, keep exercising. And if you have not ever really thought about being active, start thinking about it. So just because one is diagnosed with cancer doesn't mean they shouldn't exercise. They should. And if they don't have the habit of exercising, start giving it a try. Mm-hmm. But what happens if they have been exercising regularly already?
Well, as you said, Liz, we've been talking about different kinds of exercise, vigorous exercise or low energy output exercise. Workouts might need to be scaled back in intensity and pace, but evidence strongly suggests that exercise is not only safe and feasible during cancer treatment, but that it can also improve physical functioning. In other words, you need to find a kind of exercise that's right for you. It may need to be scaled back, which means reduced in size or amount. You have to find that level, that balance of exercise that works for you.
Right. I do know cancer survivors who've shared with me how they just feel so weak in the process of receiving treatment. It takes a lot out of you, because unfortunately, it's not just the bad stuff that's being attacked by these treatments, but some of the good stuff in your body is also being affected. And so if you're feeling that weak, you may not feel like you can, be running and jogging around the block every day as you normally would. But you could maybe consider walking around the block instead. You're cutting down, but you're still, doing what needs to be done.
Or you can shorten the amount of time. For example, maybe if you used to walking around after dinner for about 30 minutes, maybe after cancer treatment or during cancer treatment, you're too tired, so maybe just 10 minutes. That would even be helpful.
That's right. And maybe you can work up to a higher amount of time as you go along. Well, it's evidence that strongly suggests that exercise is safe and feasible, which is interesting because I thought, as you did, Liz, that if someone's going through chemotherapy and they're feeling terrible, maybe they're throwing up a lot, the last thing you want to do is suggest to them that they should go out and walk around the block for 10 minutes. But it says here that it is feasible, which means it is possible, it is reasonable during cancer treatment.
Right. And it can also improve physical functioning and some aspects of quality of life. And this is according to the American Cancer Society. Now, quality of life, what is that?
When I think of the words quality of life, I'm thinking about how your life is. Because usually if you survive cancer, your life may not be so great. Maybe your hair has fallen out because of chemotherapy. You're feeling tired all day. Maybe you can't eat certain foods and you feel very bad about yourself. So that's a bad quality of life. If you have a good quality of life or an improved quality of life after cancer, maybe you're exercising and you feel better about yourself. Your diet is improving because your body is healing. So your quality of life would improve. Because people who are alive or living, they may not be feeling like, oh, my life is worth living. I'm feeling terrible. Maybe it would have been better if I had died actually from this disease. But if they can improve their quality of life, they'll feel, oh, okay, I'm a cancer survivor. I'm going to help encourage other people.
That's right. And maybe you start organizing these little exercise groups. Your friends may be able to join you. And so you actually are making time to be with your friends. And that's a form of quality of life. Okay, in terms of physical functioning, we see an example given at the end of the paragraph.
Okay, line 17 begins, when scar tissue forms after surgery, which it often does, it limits your flexibility. But exercise can help women who've had mastectomies and underarm incisions restore the range of motion. So again, here we're talking about women who have gone through the battle with breast cancer. And a mastectomy is the surgery operation which removes the breast, the cancerous breast, and often there's an underarm incision or a cut under the arm in that area. And when the scar tissue forms in that area, it kind of limits the woman's motion. She can't raise her arms as she could have before that.
Right. And as we come to our last paragraph in the article, we read about how a recovered cancer patient felt as a result of becoming active again. And it helped her realize that cancer is not a jail sentence. Now, Howie, could you explain that jail sentence?
Normally, when we hear the word jail sentence or prison sentence, it means a criminal, he's put in prison or jail. And sometimes if you're a cancer survivor, during treatment or after treatment, you feel like you're in prison. You're stuck at home. You can't go out. You feel like the quality of your life is very bad. You have to eat certain kinds of food. So it feels like you're in jail.
You're suffering for something. Sometimes some people feel like, am I being punished for something? They get all philosophical about it too.
One of the things that people talk about in referring to quality of life is your mobility, your independence. And when you go through cancer, a lot of that is limited. You're not as independent as you were before, perhaps, or you don't have as much freedom as you did before, and you feel like you're in jail, even though you're enjoying living in your own home.
True. So it's not a jail sentence, but instead a big, quote, bump in the road, unquote. And what does that mean, bump in the road?
Bump in the road is just a little problem in your life that we talk about. It could be a health issue. Maybe it's a financial issue. You lose a job. It could be a bigger thing, like losing a job. I'm not saying that's a small thing. It can be a large thing too, but it's something that you get over and you move past and you look to the future. It doesn't necessarily have to stay, or you don't have to stay on that bump your whole life. You can move off it.
It's like a temporary setback.
There you go. Yeah, setback. Or some people would say it was an interruption. But you can continue. And we end with this interesting sentence. But you can find your new normal and have a great life. Now, what does that mean?
When I read the word normal here, I think in the past, when we think about cancer and cancer treatment and cancer survival, it's poor quality of life. You're stuck at home and you're kind of suffering and it feels like a jail sentence. But then that doesn't have to be the normal. A new normal is you have a high quality of life. you can exercise, you can feel good about yourself, and you can encourage others that, hey, I survived cancer, so can you, and it doesn't mean that you're stuck at home all day and you have to feel bad about yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you, Howie, and I also think it has to do with making adjustments. Your life is not going to be the same as it was before you had cancer or a heart attack for that matter. You need to make some adjustments. You need to find a new level of normalcy in your life, taking into consideration what you've gone through.
Mm-hmm. Well, our time is almost up, but I believe we have a feature.
Welcome to Extreme Therapy. You must be Frank Thomas.
Yes, I am. I'm here to start my therapy as part of my cancer rehabilitation program.
That's great, Mr. Thomas. Oh, here's your physical therapist, Arnold.
Oh, hi, Arnold. I'm Frank Thomas, and I'm here to...
No time for small talk, Frank. My job is to restore you to good health. We will begin with a vigorous workout immediately.
Oh, well, sure. Whatever you say, Arnold. I'll do whatever is feasible.
Now, get on the floor and do 100 push-ups. Now!
100 push-ups? Are you sure that's a good idea?
What? Do you think I'm an idiot? The push-ups will increase your testosterone levels and make your immune system stronger. You start while I go and get water. I'll be back.
Yes, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Faster!
8.
Faster! You must push and get your blood flowing.
This therapy feels like some kind of jail sentence.
These push-ups are just a bump in the road to your recovery. You will thank me later. When you are finished, I will send you on a 10-mile run.
10 miles? I haven't run that much in my life. Can't we scale it back a little?
Do you want recovery or remission? My job is to shape you up. Now, go on your run, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't be late.
Okay, Arnold, whatever you say. See you tomorrow.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Well, we're almost out of time. And friends, if you are a surviving cancer patient, if you're a cancer survivor, we'd like to encourage you to continue to persevere, to not give up. It's not easy, and we want to commend all the energy, the effort, the hard work, and we hope that you find the encouragement and support you need. And for those of you who know cancer patients or know cancer survivors, we hope that you too could be an encouragement to them. Invite them to go exercising with you, maybe. Well, we're almost out of time here, and we don't know what you think about this article, but we'd love to hear from you. Please visit our website, studioclassroom.com, and check out our advanced English corner. That's a great place for you to leave some comments and thoughts, and be sure to check out our topic talks. Well, we hope you'll join us again tomorrow for another article, completely different lesson. And until then, this is Liz Archer.
Howie?
And I'm Steve.
Saying goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.